Number 3, 40 quid diesel, please.
There is no diesel at number 3.
It's okay, Doc. I'm with the AA.
Stop! What's wrong with the car?
Are you sure?
It's okay. You're with the AA.
It's okay, lads. I'm with the AA. Bombay mix.
Right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in this intimate setting. Today, we are here to talk about the AA's exciting platform, which launched last year, and it's simply going from strength to strength. We're also going to talk about the business case and how using humor in advertising can work, as well as talking to the panelists about how do you create a good partnership amongst a number of other different things. But before we do that, we're just going to do some intros. I think I'm going to start. So hi, I'm Steph. My pronouns are she and her. I'm in my early 40s. I'm of mixed ethnicity. I have my hair in a bun. I'm wearing a red shirt and pink trousers. And I'm a really big believer that in the workplace, talent really need to see people who look like them at the top. Lucas, over to you.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. My name is Lucas. I am, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm not very tall at all. And I was born in Argentina my dad was Spanish, my mother was Argentinian, grandmother Lebanese, grandfather German, so I'm a true mix. Today I'm wearing all black, and my belief is that we're all unique, and in this industry, that is our power. Every single person is unique, and we need to understand that that's our power. That's what we need to bring every day to the industry. We should definitely not try to be someone else, and we should definitely not try to blend in. And that's it.
Thank you, Lucas. Will?
Hi, yeah, I'm Will. My pronouns are he and him. I'm from Oxford. I have blonde hair and I'm wearing yellow shorts that are similar-ish probably to the AA yellow, but my brand team will keep me honest. My belief is to dream big and to act on it. So it's one thing dreaming, but kind of taking actionable steps to get to your dreams.
Thank you, Will. Rob?
Hello. My name is Rob. I am 6'3", got brown hair, pronouns he, him, bearded gentleman with a full denim get-up here and some silly high-top trainers. I believe that people are majoritively good people, we're generous, and it's flattering to be asked and help each other. So our fear of rejection and the fear of being turned down should not exist. We should ask more questions, we should reach out more, and you'd be surprised to see how much we get back.
Thank you, panelists. I think before we're going to get into conversation, we're going to look at the latest work that launched last year. It's okay, I'm Riv, the AA.
So.
What's wrong with the car? It's okay, lads. I'm with the AA. Bombay mix.
Because the AA has more expert patrols across the country, you'll be back on the road in no time. No wonder more people choose the AA. Join today.
I think there's one more, everyone, which I'm just going to go for it.
Oh, no,
Oh.
not that. 2 before.
No, there's not. That's okay. So, Will, this is quite a significant shift, isn't it, for your brand? Tell us a little bit about how it all began.
So I think all of this type of work starts with good insight, and you've probably heard this from other talks. I've just come from a System 1 and Quiet Storm talk where they talk about insight-led creativity and humour. We basically were at a bit of a crossroads, really, with the AA, and hopefully some of you are familiar with the brand and the territory that it operates in, but basically it's a driving support brand best known for breakdown. So when you break down by the side of the road, we're there to support you. The big kind of insight, I suppose, or shift was that UK drivers were starting to have a different relationship with driving. And ultimately, with the rise of EV, or at least thinking about electric vehicles, but also people thinking that cars are, less likely to break down ultimately as technology gets better. We needed to start to think about how we were there for drivers, not just current members who've been with us for years, but future drivers who were coming along who were thinking about driving slightly differently. And that was combined with a business need at the same time to ensure that we stayed relevant ultimately. So a bit like, I suppose I used to use the Blockbuster video example of kind of, which I always feel bad in case anyone was working at Blockbuster, but it's kind of thinking about the future of where your customers and your members might go. What are they going to be thinking? So for us, it was actually thinking about drivers and driving more broadly, and how did our product offering reflect that, rather than just being seen as a breakdown company. Because if the attitudes were changing and people were thinking they were less likely to break down, and younger people are used to app-based convenience brands, why you would pay for just breakdown, it becomes a bit more of a challenge. So how do we become a modern, relevant brand that can have a suite of products, so that people are aware of a suite of products from that we can then, we can offer and build that kind of relationship with moving forward. So that was kind of the starting block. There was kind of a commercial element, but there was also very much a customer and kind of market angle to it. And that led to, at the same time, we were kind of working out how I could sort of sell it into the business ultimately of what we wanted to achieve, who we needed to speak to, what the market opportunity was, and what the opportunity was with our customers and members, and why we existed. And one of the big things that we did was a lot of purpose work around, well, why does the AA exist? And it was all around confidence and trust, ultimately, us being a brand that you put your confidence in, and us creating confidence. So with those kind of building blocks of the what, the why, and the who, we then went to pitch for a creative agency, and this is where these amazingly talented people that I'm sandwiched between are then come into the story, because the commercial challenge then gets passed over to the creative agency, and they were the guys that then started to think about a creative platform and a brand positioning that could deliver on those objectives.
And Will, we've spoken about how, you all have spoken about creating like a long-term brand platform. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so I suppose when you look, and just coming from the System 1 chat as well, it's quite interesting because, it's what everybody wants, right? At the end of the day, what we try to do with advertising and marketing is to try to be remembered, to stand out and be remembered, and then be able to have an engaging relationship via the customer experience that you have. And obviously advertising is one element of that. But where you look at best practice, like, for example, Specsavers and Should Have Gone Specsavers, advertising that sticks in your mind, and not in an irritating way, but in a way that is insight-led and that can engage with you, often then has real stretchability and an ability to link into culture as well. And that's what we were after, really. So it was quite a tall order. It was like, what's the next kind of Specsavers line? What's the way that we can get into people's heads, and how does that sum up this confidence of the brand for drivers of the future? And yeah, we were delighted. I mean, as soon as we saw the work in the pitch, it was very clear. It's like just one of those aha moments, really, where you're like, this is absolutely perfect in its simplicity, but it's also its adaptability.
Gosh, wow. The Gate, your work is done, Rob and Lucas. It's perfect. I think I'm going to remember that quote. But Lucas, thank you, Will. Lucas, what inspired you to sort of use humor, I guess, as a business solution to the problem?
So we've always loved humor. We've always, we think that humor is a really powerful way to connect with people. It's disarming. It makes your audience lower their guard. Therefore, it's great to be able to connect through humor. There's nothing better than a good laugh. It helps you bond. Even in real life, when you're laughing, you are there in the moment. You forget about. You disconnect from the worries. You disconnect from the stresses. You're living right there, and when you're doing it with somebody else, that creates a strong bond. You're creating a strong memory. So when a brand is able to do that, is able to laugh with you, and at the same time connect the message to that moment, you will stand out, you will connect, and you will remember it. So to us, that was a really important reason, and especially with the amazing brief that we had, we were instantly saying, okay, this is fantastic. It was like so single-minded. We needed to communicate a confidence, and that really inspired us. But then also we said we have to do it in a way that doesn't become heavy, doesn't become, it could become boring if you just tell people. So we thought it was really important to laugh, to have a laugh a little bit with this point, and to us. That to us was the main reason why we did it.
I love that because we've also noticed that, looking at trends like last year, I think Forbes said that 90% of people remember an ad if it's humorous. And then I think Kantar came out by saying that 56% of the ads last year in the UK, had humor. And some of us are aware of, Cannes Lions a couple of weeks ago. They actually introduced humor to their categories last year. So, I wondered, was that part of your intention as a team to use humor?
I can jump in there. I think jokes and punchlines deliver sort of the greatest impact, more than any other form of dialogue. And especially in this situation, humour is, it is the sort of the epitome of confidence. I mean, no one's going to laugh at a nervous stand-up comedian or laugh when they're scared. And I think in this example here, we wanted to imbue that confidence in the same way. Laughing in that face of adversity is a way of relieving that stress and that tension. And also, it couples with the fact that if they're laughing, they're listening. So it was a perfect vehicle for our message.
Thank you, Rob. Now we're just going to move on to the work and how we create the work together. So this one's for Lucas and Rob. What was it like working with the directors, Simon and Ed from the Academy?
Well, we've always loved Simon and Ed's work. We love them. We love, they're an amazingly talented director duo. They're amazing people, as humans, really easy to work with, that actually believe in what they're doing, and they show it in every piece of work that they've worked on. And they're represented by an amazing company, a production company that we also love. So to us, obviously we talked about this with different directors, but we always knew from the beginning that they would be the ones we wanted to work with.
And Rob, any builds there?
I think just like our relationship we have with Will and his team, it was all about trust and feeling completely confident in each other's abilities, and also that trust there we had that with Cyanide, and so we were very careful who we brought onto that team. And they were just incredible in the room. They imbue confidence themselves, and they're very funny people naturally, but they listened as well, and that's a very integral part of that relationship, especially with directors. Yeah.
And how do you sort of set those parameters to create that sort of really trusting relationship so that you can create awesome work? Like, how do you do that?
I don't think there's actually a formula. I think it's kind of we've been bitten before.
I think I think it helped with the pitch in the sense that we were very clear on what we wanted to achieve. And I think what we tried to do, I mean, one of the things that I think is really important client side, without putting too much pressure on clients, is like, you know, I think part of the job is to excite the agency, actually, because ultimately they don't really want to get bogged down in the business, shitty day-to-day stuff. It's how you unleash their expertise. And I think that's the same with lots of partners and agency relationships. Like, how do you get the best out of that? Well, the best way really is to give them the context that they need and let them, and drive that passion, drive that vision. So for me, it's kind of clear goal setting and kind of tone setting on how you want to work. And then I suppose back to this thing I sort of said about belief, like dreaming big. You know, I think we had this purpose around creating confidence for drivers, but actually what did confidence look like if you took it to that extra level? Like what, you know, and what would the advertising look like if tonally we went that little bit further? What if the humour was pushed that bit further? And I think when you've got clients like that, there's almost a bit of a sigh of relief probably from Rob's point of view of like, great, okay, we can run with this. So I think creatively there was that, but it's really important that you're on the same page. I think there's also a really nice parallel with just so happened that the AA and the Gate are at sort of similar moments of trying to grow and gain kind of, just do great work together and gain recognition for that.
And Will, like, speaking of the work, actually, you've moved me very nicely on to the next question in terms of, you know, Rob, these sort of scenes that you've all created, misplaced keys, steamy lovers scenes, vortexes, like, how did you land on those sort of scenarios?
I mean, we wrote hundreds of very ridiculously silly scenarios. I think, based on also to Will's point, we had clarity. We knew exactly what we wanted to hit. We knew we had to create a perfect sort of anecdote or a perfect dilemma or a situation which we can laugh in the face of adversity. And so when we were crafting these scenes and we were able to work very closely with Will and the team, we were able to go through quite a lot of scenarios, and we were just trying to find the one that had the stickiest one, the one that had the most sort of iconic scene or setting that would just stick in your mind, and creating something that was memorable was a key part of that. So there's plenty on the cutting room floor, and plenty that's still to come. But we wanted to create a big, diverse range.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the new ones. And some of those scenarios that you did create, they're quite risky. So how do you all build trust with one another to then actually work with Will to then make it happen?
I can take some of that, because I wanted to add to some of the stuff you guys were talking about. No, I think, I think Will and his team deserve a tremendous amount of credit for this, because they are the gate or the door, to avoid confusion with our agency. But they are the door that they open the door for this type of thinking, and they can also close it just as well. And I think so it's important, the role that Will and his team had. From the get-go, it was clear that this was not going to be just a normal, everyday campaign. They really wanted to push it as hard as they wanted. They were willing to take the risks that were necessary, calculated risks that were necessary. We had conversations about scenes where we were wondering, we pushed scenes that didn't actually completely finally make it, but we were willing to go there together. I think that partnership is vital to do good work.
Was there one that you kind of wished made it through, or is that incoming?
There's quite a few of them.
Yeah. There's one that I still love, but I think my boss was like, we're basically, it's suicide, so we can't, sorry, it makes it sound a lot darker than it, basically, it's people parachuting out of a plane, and someone parachutes out or they chuck the final parachute to the other person, jump out the plane and shout back up at the plane, it's okay, I'm with the AA. And I think what I loved about that was just like, with all of these, you push it to that extreme of like, you're so confident in that brand and in that membership that you would put your life in it. But my boss he's quite literal, so he was like, but do we actually do life insurance? And and obviously that's not, we do actually, but yeah, I love that, and I think there's an element here of like, we're not doctors, we're not like saving lives, we're creating moments for people in between Love Island or whatever it might be that they're watching, or, the highlights of the England game on their phone as they get a KFC on their way home. These are little moments where you might be able to connect with people, and lots of brands now are trying to engage and join conversations, and when they don't quite get it right, it doesn't feel right. So they're getting the balance is why these guys are here, to just perfectly read that cultural moment and find out, and work out. And you do test and learn a bit as you go, but there's kind of an element for me of like, why not push it? Like, let's go for it and see. The reality, obviously, when you've got a German nuclear physicist as your CEO, is that you're not quite sure how it's going to go.
And on that, Will, I was just going to say, like, how did you sell the idea within your company? Because, the AA, I think most of us are familiar with, not really associating that brand with humour. So how did you sell it in?
I think you've got to, I say the first thing is read your audience. It's the same with anything, right? So who do you need to sign it off? So who is that person that you're trying to influence? You've got to understand what's their skin in the game. For my CEO, he wants to make a fortune off, oh God, is this being recorded? But he will make money off, the private equity sale of the AA, of the growth of the AA. He is interested in doing the right thing for customers, but he's also interested in commercial outcomes. But also he has very limited time. He's a very busy man, and he doesn't understand advertising. So you go in with a mindset of, right, okay, you can either be the sort of vanity advertising guy who's like, here's the latest ad, like, isn't it cool? But that probably falls flat if he doesn't like it. Or you try and structure it in a way that is in his mindset. So you go, these were the business objectives. This is what we set out to achieve. We've achieved this so far. This creative is a tactical element of that plan to achieve this. So you have to get a lot more rigid, focused, and structured with how you sell that. And then obviously the tone of the work becomes very subjective. There's an element there where you don't quite know, but actually it's quite an exciting ride, because you kind of sit there waiting to see whether, you'll see the latest work in a minute, but see whether and then if he does, incredible. If he doesn't, there's probably, like Rob said, there's another one that we could look to, or yeah.
Yes, and he clearly did, right? Because you got it signed off and the work is out there. And from what you're saying, Will, I wanted to point to Lucas and just sort of ask, are there any challenges with humour, like in the work?
In general, or?
Just in general, yeah.
Well, I think the biggest challenge is that when you go for humor and it doesn't land, it's pretty embarrassing, and it's pretty negative at the end of the day, right? So the minute that you go for humor, you really have to go for it. The challenges are usually the levels of approval, right? You go, okay, if you want to be funny, you're not trying to just suggest you're trying to be funny. You have to be as funny as a stand-up comedian. You have to be as funny as the content out there that people gravitate towards. You're competing for attention within that style. So when you go for funny, you have to go all out.
And just to build on that, one for Rob, actually. I mean, I think I know you're both not comedians as professionals in the creative ad world. Like, how do you become funny? Like, how did you get that comedic timing? Because again, like, no one's a comedian. Obviously, you're immersing yourself, in the world around us, in content and the world. But how do you do that?
I'm just a very, very funny man. I mean, the reason why I got into advertising initially was through comedic adverts. I mean, the old Tango campaigns always have a sort of, a nice safe space in my brain. It's about talking and discussing. There's a lot of talented people in advertising, and jokes are just simple facts as told in a really entertaining way. I don't know. Do this. It's just we've got funny bones. I think that's all I can say with that. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that one. Now, Will, the results for this campaign, if people don't know, have been pretty phenomenal, across the board, and actually award-winning. The team here, they've won British Arrows, British Sharks. I think I just heard this morning that last night the team won a bunch of amazing awards at the Marketing Society Awards. So, it's really being recognized. But Will, I wondered, could you tell us a little bit more about how are you going to push the platform even more with confidence this year?
Well, first of all, the results are incredible. I suppose just to bring it back to that, we set out to essentially be seen as a brand that is more than just a breakdown brand. So how do we shift awareness of us as a multi-service provider? And in our brand tracking, we saw a shift of 14% within the first 6 months, which is huge. We saw consideration in all product areas increase over the first 6 months. And one of the most exciting things is this platform, It's OK, is already, obviously by a 1,500 person sample quarterly, so it's not the whole of the UK, but a large percentage, 70% of people are spontaneously associating It's OK with the AA already, which is just an amazing platform to go off. And we are super humbled and honoured that people like the Marketing Society last night are recognising us, because we are, or were, on the face of it, a relatively boring brand. So in one way, that makes it exciting because you can stand out more with really creative work, but it also means you're up against McDonald's, Guinness, Lidl, and so on at these events. And to see the AA up there and competing based on the level of boldness that we've had is epic. What we've tried to do this year is focus a little bit more on the tangibility of that shift to multi-service. So focus on one other product alongside Breakdown, which is our accident management service. So again, not particularly exciting, but how do you hand that over to these guys and make people aware that it's from the AA, but also make them then consider that alongside buying Breakdown. So focusing a bit more on that product area that we know has got a lot of commercial attributes, positive attributes as well. So the guys have done an amazing job of bringing the It's OK platform to life with this new product area with the same humour, same tone.
And I think we're going to play Street Fighter.
That's the work that we're probably going to see at the end. In terms of the other areas of the platform, yes, so we work with the guys identified, I think, cultural moments and cultural properties that we thought were exciting to jump off the back on for It's OK. And like I say, very easy to get that wrong. So there's a lot of sort of thought and debate around the right things. But Street Fighter was one that kind of landed on our desks almost last year as an opportunity. It's got that retro vibe to it, but really nice addition, and maybe Rob can talk a bit more about it, of how It's OK can build into that platform. We also did some work with Corrupt FM as well, and the guys there, Chabuddy G and MC Grinder, talking about driving and video tutorials, which again is it's kind of taking the piss out of how boring it can be, but also how much part of our lives it is, and for a youth audience.
Thank you, Will. I think we're going to give you a bit of a play of the Street Fighter film. If it will. And then this is some of the Red Bull activation, is that right,
Yeah,
Will?
this is another, well, this is from this year, so this literally happened about a month ago, but we partnered with Red Bull on their soapbox race. We felt like that was a really nice opportunity to bring Breakdown and accident management to life. You can see disco balls going over our ramp, our AA ramp, and the team did an amazing job of bringing this to life kind of as an integrated partnership through an event. But you can see how there's so many legs, in this platform that these guys have created, like these little cultural moments, these bits that are funny, working with comedians like Chabuddy G with his, in his outfit.
And this is really about pushing the platform. What, Will, you were talking about before at the beginning, right? About creating a long-term brand platform that can stretch in many different places and spaces, which is what brands all need. We love that photo. And I think that's the last one. Now, just in terms of learnings, because I'm sure some of the audience are really keen to understand and have some takeaways. So, Lucas, any learnings from last year?
Well, the biggest learning was that, and I think for all of us, was that, you know, it really connected with the audience. It was really effective, and that gave us all of the ammunition that we needed to take it 1, 2, or 3 steps higher. It's making all of our lives easier. We know it works. We can keep pressing. The AA knows it works. Will's bosses know they work. So we are moving forward with, full momentum.
The German scientist. Will, what was your key learning from last year from a brand perspective?
I think you've got to find a way to kind of take people on the journey. So like I was saying, with how you present it to the CEO, you've got to find a way to engage with the people who are important and understand their viewpoint on the campaign. Because these sorts of things, we did a lot last year. It wasn't just this campaign. There's Elmwood brand consultancy who are part of MSQ, these guys group as well, who did all the brand. We changed the logo. We brought Always Ahead as a new positioning in. We had a new Sonic identity. There's a huge amount of work, and that you need to feel that internally in the organisation as well, and you need to get them excited about it as well. So yeah, how do you? I think my big learning has been the stakeholder kind of engagement and bringing people, taking the time to bring people on the journey, because it really does pay off. Yeah.
Thank you, Will. Now, we're going to soon come to a close, and we're actually going to watch 2 of the films that launched last week, at the end of last week, that the team have developed. But Rob, I wondered, before we press play, can you just tell us a little bit about the films?
Yes, we've got 2 films. The first one is purely about Accident Assist, which is one of the services AA wanted to promote. It's another example of how with this campaign in line that we're not tied to any form of medium. We can do things in multiple different styles and different ways. And then the second ad is about more pushing through membership, also Accident Assist as well, but told as an anecdote from a member and how confident they are, no matter what the situation they face. So 2 very different films, same purpose.
It's okay. I'm with the AA.
Me too.
Even in an accident, contact us first and we'll take care of everything.
Woomph, right into the back of him. The man's van was fine, but there we were on the A406, roof down, covered in industrial carpet glue. Paul was having a right flap, and I turned to Paul and I said, Paul, it's okay. I'm with the AA.
With the UK's best breakdown service and accident assist as standard, members know they're okay with the AA.
Does anyone recognise her? Anyone? Oh, I see some nods, and I'm going to say it. It's Traitors, isn't it? Love that show. We're going to wrap up very soon, but it's clear that humour should be considered for brands when they're considering strengthening connections with, say, their audiences, and the fact that it can have an impact on sales. So confidence is clearly good for business. Now, before we go into a very, very quick Q&A, I've just got 2 quick-fire questions to the panellists. Obviously, we're here for the UK Creativity Festival. There's some amazing young talent out there. So this is particularly related to that. And Will, quick question. What do you love most about your job and why?
What I love is combining creativity in both thinking and outputs with business, with action and business results.
Thank you very much. Now, this is 1 each for Rob and Lucas. Again, lots of young talent out there trying to break into the industry. What would be your 1 piece of advice, Rob, to them?
I think I've sort of commented on it before, but it's you just got to ask. You've got to reach out. People are scared to ask questions, but people generally want to help. So don't be scared to reach out on LinkedIn, send emails, letters if needs be. But attend the events, approach people, ask for help, and people will help. Don't be scared of rejection.
I like that. So it's like an open door to Rob, I think, perhaps. Thank you, Rob. Lucas, one piece of advice to get people into the industry.
I would say to look at the industry and simplify things, not think that the industry is complex. Just go for it, step in, bring something in. I remember looking at the industry and thinking, oh my God, I have to be a genius to start. And the reality is, from day one, you can help us in the industry. You can bring yourself. Just by bringing yourself, you're helping. So simplify, get in there.
Love that. Thank you, panelists. Anyone have any questions for the last 5 minutes? Yes.
Relevant to that, actually. You were saying you wanted to reach a younger audience. So with massive respect, you're not young people. So how do you know that you are accurately reaching young people?
Good question. Will, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's always the challenge, isn't it? But it's...
Clearly she wasn't talking to me. Right?
Yeah. Should we be offended or not? I think, there's always that challenge of being in a bit of a vacuum in your own company, of like, right, okay, that's who we're going after. The only thing really that I think you can is just to do as much understanding, like research, understanding, talking. I mean, it helps that I've got a younger team than me, so I can sense check that. But where there are people, just using like younger people around the business as well, just to get a sense. I mean, I remember when I first joined the AA, going to the call centre and actually talking to the people who were on the phone lines about what they thought of the AA. And these were people who were 19, 20, 21, and they were saying, why the hell have we got Red Dwarf on television? It doesn't make, so you can get a sense of that just by kind of acting and getting out there. And then of course there is the formal ways of like understanding. We track all of this stuff. We get a sense from all of that kind of qualitative and quantitative work. We also then see what we do is look at our member base and try and see where we're seeing shifts in those demographics. And one of the exciting things we saw from the back end of last year was consideration. It was just more in breakdown, I think, specifically this, but from some YouGov surveys, we were seeing under 45s were we got that line up to the same level of consideration as where the over 45s were. That was pretty solid for the AA. So, there's lots of different ways, but...
And can I add, just from a creative point of view, and kind of philosophical, actually, in our case, what we try to have is a group, a gang, we call it, that is as diverse in all senses of the word as possible. And together you form a creative entity. And I believe that, yes, you need all the research that you need. We're responsible. We work with everything that we can. But at the end of the day, age is not as important as we think, because you think about, you take it away from our industry, and I don't imagine the people writing the scripts for Pixar are 5-year-olds, So I think you can connect with audiences no matter your age and no matter your gender. Doesn't really matter.
Thank you, Lucas. Anyone else have one more question or two we have time for? Go on, Jeevan. So, team, did you hear that? What is the, how do you create successful partnerships? Is that right, Jeevan? Who wants to take this? Rob, do you want to start off?
No, I was going to say, I kind of was daydreaming. I was still thinking about the last question. But you...
I think for us, it's clarity. To completely understand the problem, the needs and the wants, is the only way we're going to start to trust each other and have confidence that we're going to help each other get there. We now don't need a brief anymore. You just need to tell us what you want to say next, and I'll go and do it. Because we could be completely and 100% clear on what we stand for, what we're trying to say. And that's all come down to our conversations and our ability to trust each other and collaborate and talk. I think collaboration's thrown around a lot, but it's truly understanding each other and our needs. And that has been a big part from the agency side for me.
Yeah, I think the fundamental like underpinning for me is not having an ego. Like, it's basically treating people in the way that you'd want to be treated. And I think sometimes in business, we kind of put on a bit of a like business, like, right, we're in work now. Actually, we're all people. We all want to make great work. And like I said, we're not doctors saving lives. We're like creating marketing and advertising. So let's have fun with it. Let's get in a room. Let's understand exactly, to Rob's point, the clarity of the problem. But I've worked with so many people and so many agencies where there's like an over-reliance on winning awards or ego, and that's fueling the work and the relationship rather than actually a true kind of understanding of how you work together on it. And I think with that, you can then constructively challenge each other. So the stuff where Rob can be open with me saying, oh, we tried this music, I'm not sure, but you know, whereas it doesn't have to feel like, oh, I've got to say it in a certain way for the client. Like, how do you break down those boundaries, I think?
And that might be where we have to end, everyone. Big thank you to the panelists. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.